Education is playing a fundamental role in creating access for us to participate in the economy. We believe that access to education is actually a greater guarantee that you, in the next 3 years after graduating with your degree, you are able to participate in the economy of the country. If you have creative means beyond just creating employment, there are students who can be innovative after this and be able to create even employment. As PASMA, we are saying, come 2012, opening of the schools. We are not going to have queues at the residence department level. We are not going to have queues of NSFAS at the NSFAS level at our campuses.
Welcome to Campus Talk. This is your girl, Lou. It's very much important as we're facing the elections to know who you're voting for. On the show, we have a PASMA representative and a SASCO representatives. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Would you please introduce yourself?
I am Malwanda Strishwana, a PASMA election plan.
Okay, thank you so much. Good.
My name is Kukana Rakos. I'm the chairperson of SASCO Tishalanga branch. It feels good to be here.
Okay, so please tell us a bit, what is SASCO?
SASCO is an organization of students, by students and voted by students, and only represent students. SASCO goes a long way, its track record goes a long way for as far as 1924, back into when it was NUSAS, up until in the first last week, in the first week of September, until the 6th, where NUSAS and SASCO merged in order to form one vibrant student formation with its 5 pillars. That's what SASCO is, and it has long to live up until today. It is 22nd year today.
Okay. But Malwanda, please tell us, since this first years, they don't know anything about your organization. Tell us more about it.
PASMA means Pan-Africanist Student Movement of Tanzania. It's a common structure of the Pan-Africanist Congress. Our ideology is Pan-Africanism. It's one of the student organizations which are existing in tertiary institutions and FET colleges. So we stand and we fight for student rights.
Okay. So now, tell us now, for the past 2 years, you've lost elections. What is SASCO doing to change that?
Firstly, when you lose elections, what you need to do is checks and balances. You need to see where you went wrong in order to see where you can improve. You need to look into why students need to not vote you into power. Because voting for SASCO into power does not mean only access to bashes and access to social events. Access to when SASCO is being voted into power means SASCO, you are giving SASCO an opportunity for transformation agenda. That is an aspiration. We want to change what each and every student aspires us to do, starting from the financial exclusions, academic exclusions, and as far as so many things that are of students' concerns. So that was we need to, and we have set and looked into, and we are going back to the drawing board and ensure that come the 26th and 27th, and ensure that we deliver 100% victory.
Since Comrade Kutrano spoke about the transformation, what is your take on that?
Yeah, thanks, Lumka. I think I'll start with the 2 years that we've been in power within the CPUT private campus. A lot has happened within the transformation. I do not want to tell you what we are going to do, but I will tell you what we have done already. Within the Department of Mechanical, we are having the lecturers whom are still fighting, lecturers which were lecturing in private campus, which in the olden days we used to call it Pentech and Cape Tech. In the olden days it used to be white at Cape Tech and black lecturers and at the side of private campus, which was Pentech. What was happening there is that they were fighting, undermining one another. That was what was happening, as if the other one is better than the other. And the problem that we identify is that we've noticed that the students ended up being victims of what is happening within the university. So what we tried and fighted for was that first thing first, students first, and then last, the battles of staff and management. As we are talking now, all those people that were problematic within the Department of Mechanical, they are out of the system. We have employed new staff members which have been dealing accordingly with what needs to happen within that department. And second to that, there are lecturers which were marking students, negative marking, coming up with negative marking, things that will make students to fail. So they were making sure that they are failing the student, but through the structures of the university, we have managed to influence that no negative marking or any other things that will disadvantage the students. I will talk about transformation. Transformation comes a very long way. CPUT have been existing for 8 years, and we've been having problems each and every year about the issue of transformation, whereby staff members are undermining the HOD simply because of the color that the HOD is. So it's something that is not starting now, but which we are in a process of continuing solving it. But as we speak now, we've managed to have a consolidated HOD. At first we had HOD of Pentec and Cape Town, but now we introduce what is called a consolidated HOD so that we can be able to stop that thing of black and white. So the issue of transformation is something that needs to continue within the university. And that's why we try to make it a point that there's a transformation committee to deal specifically with the issue of transformation.
Since you spoke about the transformation on campus, you talked about that what you guys did. Could you please tell us what SASCO did so far?
SASCO throughout the years, I can speak of so numerous things that we've done. We have advocated for one back when President Mutuli was in charge. I can say part of his manifesto he said he wanted similar things because those are things that SASCO sees and shines a part of transformation agenda. To say it's important that each and every student is marked on a positive marking. You can't disadvantage a student and say you're going to negative mark. Second, and subsequent to that, we have equally raised it, and we are still raising it up until today to say each and every student, when you are registering, the only time when you're going to write your exams, you need to write your student number, so that when a lecturer who is maybe of white skin or maybe still a person who is still under racism by so pretext, he can ensure that it does not disadvantage Joshua just because he's black. So I'd give advantage to Spielman who is white. So those are part of the transformation that we have done, and part of student services councils that we have been sitting to ensure that we know that our females in our residences they are facing a lot of problems, and starting from that, we need to ensure that we deliver certain services that are of equal importance to them. Females are very fragile people. We need to ensure that time and again we start looking into the issues of female, the gender question, and we need to ensure that we solve it, we resolve it, and as fast as possible. So part of the things that I am going as SASCO, those are the transformation agenda that we've been putting, and in ensuring that each and every student, we have a concerted effort of basic education and higher education to ensure that when a student from basic education enters higher education, is not disadvantaged, because issues of financial aid, you living with your guardians, and I'm living with my parents. When you apply to NSFAS, they need to take heed of those things to ensure that you get the money that you need to ensure that you deliver and you pass each and every year. Because part of the things that contribute to a high dropout rate is an issue that students on a backlog do not receive the money that is needed for them to pay for their fees. So part of the things that we have been advocating for is the South African Students' Congress, and up until the national level, we have been ensuring that we need to ensure that the transformation agenda is on the table of the national government. And we've been participating to all these committees. We even went as far as youth parliament and even raised these issues to say parliament must start looking into the issues of students on campus so that students do not have a high dropout rate. Once you start having a high dropout rate, you're going to have so many youth that stay on vacation and do not do anything. And equally, you can't have students that continue to graduate but still don't get employment. So we need to, as the South African Students Congress, we have been ensuring that we deal with these issues and concretely analyze and give proper solutions, because as guided by Marxism, we need to give concrete solutions to each and every answer and look into them as on different lenses. So those will help the things that we have been doing in as far as transformation agenda is concerned.
Now we're going to ask the audience. I'm sure they've heard you guys, but now it's time for them to ask you questions.
I would like to ask a question. I've heard people, I'm not sure if they're members or I've heard students from either side saying that you've been promising to extend or enlarge the NSFAS department. I'm not sure if it's true. If it's not true, why are you not extending it? And if it is true, then how are you going to do so?
Thanks. NSFAS means National Student Financial Aid Scheme. It's the money that is coming from the government to fund those people that cannot be able to afford, which is if you're EFC, they call it EFC. If your mother is not working, if your father is working but cannot afford to pay for you. So that's the money that is coming from taxpayers. That money is coming from government and is given an institution like CPUT, colleges and others to give such a kind of people. So NSFAS is not controllable or is not controlled by CPUT, is controlled by NSFAS nationally. The decision which was taken by NSFAS national was that now you will stop applying from that NSFAS of CPUT. All these institutions will apply in one center, which is the National Financial Aid Scheme, meaning you will apply online. So there won't be any need for all those people that will be working there. Hence why you will find that it is difficult to employ more staff within the Department of NSFAS to assist in dealing with the matters, because of that those people will be working in other departments or maybe won't get work after their contract will have expired within that department. So it's very difficult to extend. But what we're fighting as PASMA, as I've said earlier on, is that we're against any form of centralization of NSFAS simply because we know what will happen. We will have to appeal to the minister plate, which is it's even difficult to get the minister. I remember my colleagues here, my colleague Comrade Kutwana, they had a strike whereby it was a free education march, marching to Parliament. The minister was nowhere to be found, even in Parliament. It was only the administrator, the secretary that came to fetch the memorandum. So I'm saying that just even if you're excluded now, you'll have to wait for someone that is busy. And so I, as PASMA, was saying that we're against the centralization of NSFAS. We support that what needs to happen, they need to employ more staff within CPUT.
Okay.
If I can assist him,
Yes.
in as far as NSFAS is concerned, NSFAS, it works differently. I don't think he has given it the proper explanation of how NSFAS actually really works. NSFAS is a nationality, it has a head office in Weinberg. But what it does, because it can't go as far as regulating, it has a regulation book of how the money that has been disseminated to institutions, how they can be disseminated to students, or how they can be go to the receiving end of the students. So what then NSFAS does, it delivers the money to institutions, and the institution employs its own people to facilitate the process. Because one, for us to say NSFAS will have to, when centralization happens, it's going to ignore the fact that there are staff members there. it is not going to do that, because an issue of crying of those people that are working there, it's a different scenario, because we need to ensure that those people that are employed there, they are employed under the university. They are not employed under NSFAS, but the NSFAS from the head office gives them the amount to say, you are the responsible people to deal. It gives the university, then the university creates a financial, hence it's a financial aid office. It's not national NSFAS office, but a financial aid in which each and every student, though you are using a bursary, you can go there, you are using lunch, you can. That's how the national financial aid happens, or the NSFAS work operates in around our university. It does not deal directly with students. In as far as the CA, the centralization is concerned, it's going to deal directly, it's going to deal different. But the issue of, we have to look into what are they going to do exactly, because they have not properly outlined what are they going to do. Hence, I can't stand here and say to us, let's totally rebuke what the financial aid or the NSFAS is giving to the table. We need to take out what is important, and we need to, where it's necessary, we need to chop and change so that we ensure that the process is effective and free, because these are taxpayers' money. So government needs to account equally with NSFAS office. So in as far as NSFAS office is concerned, I can tell you, but the issue is we need to look into how is it that the money is going to reach you as a student, and what are the things that they take for you to give you 30,000 instead of giving you 50,000. So those are the part of the things that we need to look at. In equally, that we need to look into issues that your mother can't die last year, and you still continue when you apply next year. You are required to send the same documents, because if NSFAS has those documents, they need to ensure that they have an effective process in which they still keep your documents, but the documents like affidavits, because those are documents that take 3 months, and after 3 months they can't be used. Those are documents that can be handed in. But an issue of having a death certificate of your mother, it's frustrating the already frustrated students that we need to, as the South African Student Congress, we are advocating it in as much as it's necessary, so that each and every student, the time that you spend in those long queues of NSF financial aids, applying, the long queue that you take when you are going to sign the loan agreement, we need to change it and ensure that it's effective, in which you can be able to go there, you deal with the process as quickly as possible, so that you can even focus on your studies in class.
Okay, thank you. Another question from an audience.
Since you're on the issue of financial aid, I just want to ask, I just want to get a clarification on this point. I don't understand why first-year students, they don't get allowance like third-year students. I know universities where all first-year students, they get food, book allowance. Every month they've got like meal vouchers. So now here at CPUT, you found out that you're a black student. You don't have, not a black student, a student who can't afford meal. So the thing that I want to know from you two guys, like PASMA and SASCO, what are you going to do to prevent that thing? Because it doesn't mean if you're first year, you can afford everything. So this thing of third year students getting certain benefits, and first year students, they don't get like maybe some book allowance. And the other thing is this, the meal. Not everyone can afford. UWC, all students get all the benefits, like they've got meal vouchers and they've got some book allowance. So I don't understand why here we don't have that thing. So that's my other question. Can I ask, the other question is this, the issue of residence. I don't want to point out things. What are you going to do to change the issue of residence? The issue of residence is very big. And lastly, my other question is this, the Department of Mechanical Engineering in general. And the other thing, not that department only. I have a feeling that CPUT, it has money, but it doesn't want to pop out money to do what? To hire best lecturers. Department of Mechanical Engineering, out of my experience, there are no good lecturers there who knows what they are teaching. So what I want to know from you guys, what are you going to do to change that situation?
Thank you so much for the questions. Those are very important. But Malwan, just
Yeah, let me start with the one of NSFAS. I think you have saw the application form for 2014. In that application form, there's a section for NSFAS now, so that when you are still doing grade 12, you can be in a position to apply for NSFAS, so that they can be able to load all your details on the previous year, so that when it comes to the year whereby you're starting your first year, you can be able to register, you can be able to get your book allowance or anything that is due to you. It's something that we've been dealing with even this year and last year. All the first years that could not be able to pay the upfront payment, they were coming to our offices. We've been taking them to the NSFAS offices. If a student qualifies for NSFAS, then that student will be able to register. What they do, they first load that student, so that they can be able to check if does this student qualify for NSFAS. If that student will qualify, then that's where that student needs to sign a loan agreement and is assisted. But I must say that it is not something that was known by everyone, each and every first year. So it's something that we've been doing for those that came into our offices. Hence why we suggested that the application form for NSFAS should be with the application form. So that's what we have done in order to try and capture the problem of first years not getting the allowances. Yes, from 2014, everyone will be able to get, even returning students. The main reason why the closing date for application was 30th of August was that they need to capture everything during this year, so that when you are going home for holiday, you know how much NSFAS is giving me for upfront, you know how much you will get for book allowance and stuff and so on. Hence why we've managed to do all those things. Moving on to the second question, the one of housing. Housing, it's a problem. If you can check around the country, all the strikes that are happening because of housing. They are complaining that they are staying in shacks, it's raining, they do not have housing. Even in the higher education report that just came recently is highlighting that there is a problem within the university for accommodation. Hence why you'll find out that even starting from the Cape Town campus, we started to take all those students, even since the university doesn't afford accommodation, we take them to the hotel so that they can be able to pay. There's a hotel called Cape Suits next to CPUT Cape Town campus. We took all those students and they are residing within that hotel simply because there is no accommodation. And we've tried to advertise accommodation. What we did, we advertised so that people can come and show us the accommodation that they have. Unfortunately, I think it was 3 people that pitched, or 2 people, which was Siroko, River Park, and the other one at Cape Town, which we've managed to take. So it's the issue of accommodation. If we can be able to get accommodation around our campuses, we can be able, the university is more than willing to go into lease agreement with those buildings. So the problem is that there are no buildings. And so right now we're starting a 2020 vision. There's a 2020 vision whereby the university is starting to build their own residence. So we're still in engagement to do what is happening at UWC. At UWC, there's the company that built all those residences that you see there. That company owes those residents for 15 years. After 15 years, those residents will belong to UWC. So that's what we are trying to do even here at CPUT, to try and make it a point that we do not sit and wait for a landlord to have a space for our students. So that's what is happening. On the last point of lecturers of the Department of Mechanical, it's simple. The minimum requirement for a lecturer as per the university policy is a master's degree. The problem that we're having at CPUT is that once a student passed its BTech in cum laude or distinction, what they do, they normally take that student to be a lecturer, of which the policy of the university is clear, saying that you need to have a master's, of which we are still against that thing that says that you need to have master's, because teaching it's a skill. So you need to have at least 1 year program of teaching so that you can be able to understand the people that you will be interacting with. Having distinction doesn't guarantee you that you can be able to teach what you know. So that's what is happening. And so you find that in the Department of Mechanical, we are struggling to hear what even the lecturer is saying, because You take someone that is coming from maybe other countries to come, that student is good for himself or herself. But now when it comes to explanation, that person still needs to correct the English, doesn't even know how to speak English. That's the problem that is happening. Hence why we said in mechanical, when they were imposing the exclusion, we said that you cannot be able to exclude our students, whereas you do not have the quality of lecturers. We're still having lecturers that are teaching there with a diploma, which are coming from the Cape Technical. So that's the problem that we're having within that department, that we're still in progress of sorting it. So we're saying as PASMA that if you choose to be in a field of academia, you need to be in academia. In CPUT, there's only one professor, and that professor is the HOD. The other requirements to be an HOD is masters again. You see, that's where we're having a problem. I think we need to harmonize our policies so that we can be able to change. If you can go to UNISA, other institutions like UNISA, even the registrar or the person for finance is professor. That shows that you are in an academia field. So we're saying that if you choose to be in academia, you need to be in academia yourself. At least minimum requirement, you need to enroll for PhD in order to have your doctorate or DTech. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. Bukhlan, I'm sure you have something to say on the questions and posed.
Yeah, I do have. In fact, I have a lot of, I have so many things to say. Starting from, I think I'll start from bottom to top. I will start with an issue of McEdge, and I think it's not only a problem. I can say it's a nationwide problem. It's not only, hence SASCO. When I said to you on August, we went on a march to Parliament. We started to Parliament. There was a national march to the union buildings. We spoke about an issue of wanting and demanding that we want free, quality and compulsory education. I want to extract the word compulsory for the basic reason that compulsory and the word quality, what does it mean to each and every student in each and every faculty? You can't have quality with a student that has a diploma and is your lecturer, and is your junior lecturer, and you are being lectured, whether mechanics, maths or whatsoever. You need to have someone who at least has gone through the processes and be able to understand what is it that that person is teaching you, because teaching does not only solely realize and stand out in a process to say you need to stand in class. There's how you need to conduct yourself, there's how you need to prepare for class, and there's an amount of preparing for each and every student that is there. And going in, it even goes as far as how many students are you having in class, so that each and every student understands, because a participation rate of a class fully packed of 100 and something students, one lecture can't accommodate 100 and something students. That goes as far as quality. We need to ensure that we even loosen up our policies to ensure that one lecture at least accommodates 50 students, so that each and every student, an open door policy, can ensure that after class, every student can even go to a lecture and say, Lumka, I did not understand this. Can you please explain it to me? Because once you start having 1,000 students in one lecture, a lecturer can't extend the hand, because he is after lecturing in Brentec, supposed to go to Cape Town. So we need to find a stand ground to say we need to ensure that our lecturers have at least as minimal students as possible, and even they can even work with Fundani Center to ensure that the tutoring system, the mentoring system actually delivers the aspirations of students. But you can't continuously have students that drop out, fail, but students want to increase the intakes. You need to ensure that you have a system that basically deals with those that are already inside the system, so that they do not fall out, but they continuously go up until graduation process. And in going forward, the second question you spoke about in the issue of housing department. Housing department, my colleague over here has spoken about it very well and said, but the only thing that he has omitted is again to say housing is a nationwide crisis. One, you need to look into let's look into the stats of housing in 2009 up until now. 2009, housing accommodated, only in Belleville, accommodated 3,049 students. The only res that thus far they've increased, it's new res and Sirocco. You can't tell me that when you have a target of an intake each and every year of 1,000 students, but you can only accommodate 15% students. You can't have that. You can't have students that you accommodate, but the environment in which they sleep in is not conducive for them to study. You need to have, similarly in this TV room, you can't have a TV room that does not have a DS, in which students who do research, they can be able to watch news, they can be able to check to the channel 319 to be able to get teaching and learning programs, and so that they can prosper. We need to ensure that we increase the issue of residences, because one, I can tell you, the issue of COVAX in UWC, though some that want to claim it, they can say to you it's a working process. It is not a working process. One, because the person that owns those residences inflated those residences. Those residences, they are within the vicinity of UWC, but you can't have your next door in BFR saying 14,000, but COVAX saying 23,000. We need to ensure that when we deal with the process, even the person that we are leasing the buildings to, we need to look into those agreements, we need to scrutinize them, to say, if Protea Court is far from malls, is far from everything, we need to apply the same system that is being applied when buying a house. When you buy a house in Constantia, it can't be the same house that you buy in Belleville. That's how we need to look into things, to say, Belleville, this structure that we have here in the hospital must be at least upon, if you say it's 14,000, it must be 14,000, but there are things that you need to look into, because there's no tuck shop here, there's no mall, there's no effective transport for people. You need to look into so many things that can be able to ensure that students that live here, it's a conducive environment for them to be able to study. In as far as a mentoring system, again, you need to ensure that residents that are as far as Protea Court, outside the residences, you need to ensure that there is internet system, that the library at least it's open 24 hours, so that for them to be able to, you can't say you are innovative, but you are not innovative in practice. We need to ensure that when we preach innovation, we need to say the library and the IT center, their times must be concurrent for them, for each and every student in the shuttle system, to say at 12 o'clock you can be able to go to library and be able to study. Those are the more employees that are needed. But on a student perspective, because we are speaking about students here, we are not defending management. We are saying this is what we want as students. And in an issue of financial aid, we have concerns, and it's serious concerns. You can't have a student on a first year that is as hungry as a student in a third year. But a student in a third year is more considered than a student in a first year. Whereas, at even worse off, maybe a student in a first year it's still difficult to adjust to social conditions in around Western Cape, because maybe you are from Limpopo, you don't even know where malls are, you don't even know what is your next meal. We need to ensure, and NSFAS has been doing it, but though it's not doing it into our full approval, to say NSFAS must be able to say, you are a first year, we are going to give you at least allowance each and every month. Because giving an allowance each and every month goes a long way, because you can't give a student an allowance in June. What about January, February, March, April? What was that student eating? Those are things that continuously when we preach. Hence why we say, as the South African Students Congress, we need the participation of students, because without you, we are nothing. Because SASCO is for students, by students, and represents students. Hence, our 16th Congress said, our theme says, students first, SASCO to the fore. That means we want students to be part of us, so that when we fight these things, we do not fight them as 10 PEC members, but we want to fight them as 16,000 students that are registered in Belleville, to say financial exclusion is not a matter of racial explanation. It's not a racial. It's not based on race. Financial exclusion cuts across. Socially can be from a black disadvantaged family, can be excluded financially. You can be from a white disadvantaged family, maybe in Mitchell's Plain, you are excluded as well. NSFAS needs to start looking into those things, and when it looks into those things, they need to take heed of certain things that even contribute for you to drop out each and every year. That is how we view NSFAS, and continuously how we want to engage with students so that we deliver what is necessary for us to deliver a student and what is expected of us.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Gudrun. Now, since we're approaching the elections, it's very much important to send the message out there why you deserve to be voted.
Yeah, thanks, Sis Lumka. I strongly feel that I'm not a political guru, or in political terms. I'm not a political guru, but I'm a man of action. I strongly feel if a student see or saw what you have done for them, they can be able to say that, thank you by voting for you. Students up there, I think it's high time that from the 26th, 27th, you make a wise decision by voting those that you think they can be able to do. We PASMA have led before, SASCO have led before. I think you've been here around observing what was happening within the university. Then it's your chance to make it a point that you make a right choice by voting Pan-Africanist Student Movement of Azania.
Thank you. Gudrun.
Yes. Gudrun, the chairperson, as I've said before, we want students to finally realize that their aspirations, they lie within SASCO. We want students to on the 26th and the 27th to ensure that when they see a ballot paper, they put their X where it matters most. They put their X where we want, and they say they want transformation. The only organization that can deliver transformation is the South African Students' Congress. And on the 28th and the 29th, we are saying to each and every student, they must go out in their numbers to vote for PASMA. But on the 26th and the 27th, they must come out in their numbers to ensure that they put their X on SASCO and ensure that we deliver what we have been saying we have been delivered. And we have been delivering so well. And I know that within your hearts, you know it very well, that the South African Students' Congress is a force to be reckoned with, but not alone, but together with students. Nothing without us, with us. So we are saying to each and every student, Amanda, the 26th and the 27th are moving.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. It's very important to know who you're voting for, hey? I'm sure you've heard everything from the gentlemen. We're going to see you on the elections day. Thank you.
Yes.